Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sober is Dope. And today I want to give you guys my top tips to remaining sober. And it's very important to avoid relapse and recovery. You have to have a system and you have to have go-to tips. So I'm giving you guys some solid advice today. The first thing I want to say, if you're in recovery and you're really serious about your sobriety, I want you to try to really connect to a higher power. This is very important. I'm not talking about religion and I'm not talking about anything like that. What I'm talking about is trying to connect to a spiritual source, having a source of gratitude for your life and some higher power, something outside of yourself to reflect on, maybe some form of ritual, something that you could do to connect. If it's going back to nature, if it's writing in your gratitude journal, if it's reconnecting with your ancestors, but in my case, it's God. So I will say that, I love God. So I would say try to find what that means in your life and really hold on to that. That's important. Because when I was in my darkness, it was very difficult for me. And without some connection to a higher power, I really would have lost it. And I don't think I would be alive today. My next tip is to forgive yourself first. This is very important. Before you try to start making amends and going out there and asking people for forgiveness, you have to make peace with your past, the mistakes that you may have made in your addiction, and really forgive yourself for everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, anything that you may have done. Really just let it go. Releasing this is very important to starting over and starting fresh. Forgive yourself first. And that brings us to our next step. Really try to do a good job at making peace with anyone that's in your life that you're not in harmony with, whether it's family, whether it's friends, or anyone that you may have hurt. Try. Only in the case where it's not going to hurt them. Don't reach out to anyone and where it's going to upset them. If that's happening, just leave them alone and give everyone their peace. But where you can, try to make peace and ask for forgiveness and make amends with anyone in your life. That's very important because, again, in recovery, you're going to be starting fresh. It's a fresh start. It's a new life. And you have to approach it differently. You don't want to take or bring the baggage from your past into your present beautiful situation of sobriety, right? You want to start fresh. The next thing is watch out for slippery people, slippery thoughts, and risky situations, okay? So that's very important. Stay away from the old stomping grounds, the old bars, and friends or family or anyone that's going to bring you back to that lifestyle in which you used to use. Right? Don't deal with that. You might have friends who still want to drink and friends who still doing drugs every day. And if it's in a negative environment, you don't want to put yourself there. So in my case, I make sure I'm very protected, right? I don't go around. I'm not a party guy. I'm not going to go to the old bars. I'm not going to go out every Friday night with my friends to have drinks. I don't drink. Doesn't mean I can't go. It doesn't mean I can't be in an environment. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with friends and family who may still drink and stuff. But I have to watch it. And I want you to watch it. Make sure you're very careful who you hang with, where you hang, and the thoughts that you have. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you some real good value here. You relapse most likely emotionally, spiritually, and mentally before you relapse physically. So that's why it's important to watch for slippery thoughts, negative thoughts, and to watch out for slippery people, negative people, and toxic people in toxic places, right? Because you don't want to get back to an emotional, vulnerable state, which could leave you open to a potential relapse. That's very, very, very important. My next tip is to build a solid support system. You don't need a group of people. You may need one person in your life. It could be one person, a family member, a friend. It could be a group of people, but find some form of support. Maybe a mentor, maybe a family member, someone that you could confide in case things get too difficult. This is so important. There's going to be challenges on your road to recovery, and you want to be able to connect with people in a positive way, someone that you could really trust. So build a support system. The next thing I want to talk about is the importance of having a peer group or some type of support group. This could be Alcoholic Anonymous. This is very important. But you could also go to church. You could have a church group. You could have some form of support group. It could be a counseling group. It could be some type of group within a rehabilitative state. It could be any form of group or peer group, but a place where you could get around other people who are in your situation, at where you guys could share ideas and thoughts, right? So definitely try to find a support group. My favorite support group when it comes to alcohol is Alcohol Anonymous, because it's very, very important. And there's a beautiful community there. It's going to be a non-judgmental place where you could go and share your story and get resources and stuff. And I'll leave that there. Another thing is stress management. This is my biggest tip. Ladies and gentlemen, addiction and mental health, they're one and the same, right? So ideas like anxiety, depression, anxiousness, and stuff like that is going to be a real reality in recovery, right? So you want to have ways to manage your stress, and stress management is so important, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. For me, I pray, I use meditation, I exercise, I take long walks, I take nice hot showers, I make sure I get a lot of rest, and I keep myself in a productive environment, because this helps minimize and manage my stress, right? So I would say look up a mindfulness meditation. You could go online. We have videos on the Sober is Dope channel where you could really connect with mindfulness music, meditation music, relaxation music, listen to healing sounds, really just find a way to de-stress. Take long walks. Studies suggest and show that the brain really likes space and long walks and being in nature, breathing, connecting back to a natural environment. This helps to reduce stress, right? Because if you ever have an urge, right, to drink, you want to be able to let time pass. And to do that, you have to be able to relax. So if you ever have an urge to drink, you want to be able to watch your breathing, really get calm, really get meditative and relax. And this is going to help you and time pass, because the urge to drink or to use when you're in recovery, it usually lasts between 15 to 30 minutes. So you want to have techniques and to reduce the stress that causes these urges in place. So for me, I'll pray, I'll take a long walk, I'll meditate, I'll do some light exercises, I'll do anything I can to help reduce the stress so I could get back to a productive lifestyle where I'm thinking properly, moving properly, and living properly. Okay. My next thing is have fun, ladies and gentlemen. This is important. Sobriety is not a life sentence of suck, right? You're not going to suck. You're going to actually be much better. You're going to look better, feel better, and you're going to have more energy in your recovery. So go out there and have fun. Doesn't mean you have to go to bars. Doesn't mean you have to go to places where you could potentially relapse or be vulnerable. But make the most out of it. Stay productive and have fun, and surround yourself with people which you could party and have fun with, where it's not just about alcohol and drugs, right? My most important tip before I go, ladies and gentlemen, is creativity and staying busy. This is so important. Staying busy, having something that you're passionate about. Recovery is going to give you a lot of free money, because you're going to save money. You're not going to be spending it on drugs and alcohol all day or cigarettes, right? I saved to date almost close to $30,000 from not just smoking cigarettes and buying alcohol, right? Probably more, but I saved a lot of money. And then you could put a lot of that money into your passion, your dream. You could start a clothing company like Sober is Dope. You could start a podcast like Sober is Dope. You could start a drop shipping company. You could take that course that you always wanted to take. You could go back to school. You could teach yourself something. You could learn a new language. Find something that you're passionate about and go all in, because they say busy tames the beast. And that's so true, ladies and gentlemen. I stay busy, but just not shooting in the dark. What I do is I find things that I'm really passionate about, and I really try to be productive, and I stay creative. And every time I get a little bored, I remind myself there's something I could be doing, whether that's working on a book, working on a podcast, exercising, writing some music, studying, meditating, taking a nice nap, visiting a family member, writing a letter. There's always something you could be doing. So when you get bored, you want to avoid that. Boredom is one of the gateways to relapse. You don't want to stay bored. So you want to watch that. And the way you do that is you stay creative. You find something that you love to do and you go all in and you excel. These are some of my tips, ladies and gentlemen, I use to maintain my sobriety. And before I go, I'm going to give you the most important nugget I could give you guys. How to stay sober. You have to remember the darkness. Don't forget the darkness of your addiction. Too many people get really comfortable in their sobriety. You start to feel really powerful and strong, and then you feel like you can handle it. You may be able to handle a drink. These are lies. Alcohol is insidious. It'll play with your mind. So you have to really remember the darkness. Remember how it all started. Remember your lowest point. Never forget it. I always say, be like the elephant. The elephant has the perfect memory. They don't forget anything for many generations. They have great memories. I want you to have a perfect memory when it comes to the darkness of your addiction. Don't sleep on it. Because the day you play with that and relapse, you're going to go right back to that day, that darkness, right? I don't care if you got 50 years. It never fails. We see it in our practice all the time. We talk to someone who has a lot of time, and then they just one day just somehow forget everything they learned and they give in and they think they can handle it. And then it just hits them so hard. And then that follows with so much guilt, so much shame, so much embarrassment. We're going to talk more about relapse later, but the purpose of this episode is to give you tips so you never have to go there. We don't want you to relapse. We want you to stay in recovery, not relapse. And the way you do that is you have to have a code. You have to have a system, and you have to have tips and strategies that you could go to when things get rough. You have to have your resources in place. So ladies and gentlemen, for more information on how to stay sober and living life in sobriety, I want you guys to check out the Sober is Dope podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That's where we have about 200 plus episodes all about recovery. But in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you guys can get updates of videos that I'm going to drop for you that's going to help you on your recovery journey. Remember, you made the best decision of your life, so don't be afraid. Don't overthink it. Keep it simple, stupid, and you'll win. You're listening to Sober is Dope. I'm Pop Buchanan. I love you all. Good luck, and I'll catch you soon. Thanks.